Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, November the 19th. We're going to take a first look at this 4-game NBA slate, go through each position. I'll hit on some players I like at each position. We'll build out a core of 5 plays. These are 5 plays that I see the night before that really catch my eye. We'll talk through Draftkings and Yahoo salaries. Also, a few things before we do get started. So as normal, I would appreciate it if you guys would drop a like down below. And as always, if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button as well. Yesterday, we did hit 17,000 subscribers, which is just absolutely insane. I want to thank every one of you guys that has watched my videos throughout the past and just recently gained a lot of new subscribers recently since the start of the NBA season. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed the content that I've put out on YouTube these past 3 years. The fact that I've been able to gain this big of a following is just crazy to me. I'm very excited to see what the future has in store. Beginning of December, we're going to be launching my Patreon page, and I'm going to have a lot of exclusive content over there. Very excited to see what's in store for that. So thank you to everyone who has supported me, supported this channel just throughout the past. We're at 17,000 subscribers, and we're not stopping here. Going to keep on growing. Hopefully, we'll be at 20,000 pretty soon. That'll be another big milestone that I'll have accomplished. But thank you to everyone who has watched the videos. Like I said, subscribed. I do appreciate it. Also, before we get started with the video, you can follow me on Twitter. Forgot to mention that. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at DFS by Noah. I'm very active over there. You can DM me if you need to contact me. Feel free to do so. But let's go ahead and take a look at today's 4-game slate. We'll start off at point guard. So at the top, LeBron James, point guard eligible on DraftKings, 11,100. LeBron is the most expensive player on the slate by $1,300. Next most expensive player is Anthony Davis at 9,800. And right now, DraftKings has Anthony Davis listed as questionable, but he's actually probable. He is expected to play today. I'm assuming Davis does play. Just looking at this slate the night before, I feel like there's going to be pretty decent value we have. I mean, we know that D'Angelo Russell is going to be out for the Warriors. Some of the guys from the Warriors have gotten priced up, but probably not priced up enough, so there could be some value there. We do have the Pelicans on this slate, and the Pelicans just as of late have been incredibly injury depleted. They're missing a lot of guys. Brandon Ingram is questionable. Lonzo Ball is questionable. I believe there's a few more guys as well. We do already know that Josh Hart is going to be out. Derek Favors is going to be out. Some bench guys are potentially questionable. I know Frank Jackson could miss this game. I believe Jahlil Okafor is doubtful. So New Orleans is going to be really thin in the front court. They could be thin in the back court as well if Lonzo misses here. And that could definitely open up some value. We've been playing a lot of Pelicans recently just with how injury depleted they have been. And assuming some of those guys miss, I have a feeling we're going to be looking to some Pelicans guys for value. So I think it probably will be pretty easy to fit in LeBron today if you want to. I do like him on this slate. I think he is the top stud by a pretty wide gap. I mean, LeBron's just been awesome this season. Just been getting you 50, 60 DraftKings points, it feels like, every night. You're getting such a high floor from LeBron. He's playing huge minutes in competitive games. This game against OKC, right now I believe it is expected to be a pretty close game. I think it has an 8-point spread or a 9-point spread. It's not online. I believe I saw it on other sites where it was a 9-point spread. So it should be a close game here against OKC. I really like LeBron with how Anthony Davis has been playing recently, with how he has struggled. We've seen LeBron really step up and play well. So he's my top stud on the slate. I do want to try and pay up for him if possible. 11,100. You can play him at point guard or small forward on DraftKings. Honestly, I'd probably plug him in as small forward because that's usually not as good of a position, usually not as deep of a position. He is small forward on Yahoo, and over here he's at $51. I think he's the top stud on Yahoo as well. If we just look at the stud pricing over here, you got LeBron at 51, Davis at 50, and then it drops down to Lillard at 43, and then it's Ingram 39, Booker 36, Holiday 36. Definitely want to try and jam in LeBron on Yahoo. I think it's going to be pretty easy to do so over there because a lot of the value plays that we've been on recently with the Pelicans, they're still way too cheap over on Yahoo, and we will talk about a few of them later on in the video. So I do like LeBron a lot on this slate against OKC. Between Lillard and Holiday, I think I would definitely rather have Damian Lillard. I really like the matchup for Lillard against the Pelicans. We know this is a Pelicans team that plays really fast. They're not good defensively. These are two of the fastest-paced teams in the league. If we do look at pace so far this season, Portland ranks 11th in pace. New Orleans ranks 5th. So this is going to be a fast-paced, competitive game, I would imagine, especially if the Pelicans are going to be fully healthy and if they get Lonzo back, if they get Brandon Ingram back. That should help keep the game close. I do like both guys here. I would prefer Lillard because I just think he plays more minutes. He's just a more productive player. But obviously, if Lonzo and Ingram are both out, I mean, Drew Holiday is going to get a big bump. He's been playing really well with both those guys out, been taking on a heavy workload, 36, 37 minutes. He's been playing pretty much every night. If both those guys are out, I mean, I'd probably project Holiday for about 48 DraftKings points. I'd have to project Lillard for just over 50, though, because, I mean, I just like this matchup so much for Damian Lillard at 9,200. So if I'm choosing between Lillard or Holiday, I would prefer Lillard, but I think both guys are in play today. One thing to note is on last night's slate on Monday, or as I'm recording this Monday night, we did see about 10 minutes before game time, Ricky Rubio got scratched for the Suns, and he did not play on Monday night. That could definitely be a slight boost for Devin Booker. He's 8,400 though, so I don't think he's going to be a smash play even if Rubio's out, but I would at least have a little bit of interest in Booker. Now, if Rubio plays, I mean, Booker's probably not going to be on my radar. I would just much rather play Drew, much rather play Lillard. So that's kind of some injury news we're going to have to wait and see on is if Ricky Rubio plays today. But then in this mid-range, you got like CJ McCollum, Chris Paul, Ricky Rubio. John Morant, someone I want to talk about. He's probably my favorite mid-range point guard play. I like him a lot here at home against the Warriors. Great matchup. We know how bad this Warriors team is defensively. He's going to be a top play for me at point guard on both sides. If we do go over to Yahoo, in this mid-range, he's the same price as Chris Paul. I think I'd rather have Morant here in this matchup. Morant's one of those guys that's like never going to project well in projection systems. He's just not going to pop as like a core play or a cash play. He is pretty inconsistent. I mean, he's been inconsistent this season. He's been really good as of late. He looked great in that Hornets game. Played 30 minutes, had 42 DraftKings points against the Jazz. He was really good, 44 DK points in 30 minutes. Tough spot having to go to play Denver. 21 minutes there, only 23 DraftKings points. I expect a big bounce back game from John Morant. I like him a lot here against this Warriors defense. I mean, they're terrible defensively. If we look at defensive rating so far this season, the Warriors are last in the league. If we do look at pace as well, these are two pretty fast-paced teams. You got Memphis ranking top 10 in pace. They rank 6th. The Warriors are about middle of the pack. They rank 14th. Just really like this matchup for Morant. He's going to be someone I eye in tournaments. He's not going to be like a cash game core play. So like if you're playing cash or if you're playing like single entry tournaments and you want to stick to like a core of like 4 or 5 like cash players, like chalky players, and then instead of filling out the last 3 spots with chalky players, if you want to pivot to lower owned guys, I do expect Morant to be relatively low owned today. I'd be surprised if he's like over 15%. I don't see a lot of people flocking to John Morant like in their single lineups. Like in single entry, he'll probably be pretty low owned. So I like that a lot for tournaments. He's going to be someone I play quite a bit of today in my tournament lineups. So he's my favorite play like in that mid-range at point guard. Draymond Green got the start at point guard last game with D'Angelo Russell out, but he just is not doing anything right now. He hasn't been very efficient from the field, just shooting like 20%, 40%, 28%. He's not really getting the peripherals either, which is really surprising. I mean, with Draymond playing with all these guys injured, with no Curry, with no Clay, with no D'Angelo Russell, I figured Draymond would be like a triple-double threat almost every night, and that just has not been the case so far. You're barely getting like, I mean, his best game recently was 37 DK points against Boston. Draymond just has not looked good this season. He's 6,200. Like, there's just other guys I would rather play on this slate. I'd rather play SGA for $100 cheaper. I'd rather find $500 and get up to John Morant. I'd rather drop down to Lonzo Ball if he plays for $5,400. He would be someone I'd like a lot. So even though Draymond's starting at point guard, I don't think I'm going to have a ton of interest in him today at 6,200. So let's talk about some value at this position for cheaper plays. We don't know the status of Lonzo right now, but if he plays today and he's not limited, Lonzo Ball for $5,400 is just way too cheap of a price tag in a fast-paced game against the Trailblazers. I would have a lot of interest in him. If Lonzo is out and we see NAW pick up a lot of run off the bench, then I think he would definitely be in play as a value. $4,900 on DraftKings. Last 2 games with both Ingram and Ball out, NAW's really benefited. He's really benefited. He's benefited with Josh Hart out as well. The Pelicans have just been so thin that Alexander Walker just like he's had to play big minutes. 30 and 35 minutes the last 2 games, 38, 35 DraftKings points. He's taken 18 shots in both games, so when he's out there on the floor, he's taking shot attempts. He's grabbing rebounds. He's getting some assists as well. If the Pelicans if those Pelicans guys remain out today, NAW would be a top value play for me on both sides. He's pretty cheap on Yahoo. If we do go over to the shooting guard position, you got NAW at $12. I mean, he's a top value play today if Hart and Ingram are both out. I would say if Hart's out, that probably helps NAW, or not Hart, excuse me. Why am I saying Hart? If Lonzo's out, that would help NAW because he'll play a lot of backup point guard. Even if Frank Jackson sits, we might see even more minutes go to NAW because Jackson did get hurt in that last game. So that's kind of a wait and see for me. Dennis Schroeder, 4,800, I like a lot as well. I had a lot of interest in him on the last slate, Monday night against the Clippers. He was only 5,200. I'm not sure how he's doing right now. That game's just about to start as I'm recording this video. Schroeder his price dropped to 4,800 on DraftKings, so for sure would be a play as a value. Kai Bowman really benefited last game with D'Angelo Russell out. Did not draw the start, which was pretty surprising. Came off the bench, but still played 28 minutes and had 31 DraftKings points. He was the stone minimum on that slate. I didn't play on Sunday night, but I imagine Kai Bowman was like 80% owned on that slate. 4,700 now on DraftKings. He's not going to be a top value play. I'd rather play NAW. I'd rather play Schroeder. But if I was making multiple lineups, I would have exposure to him for sure. Going over to Yahoo, I mean, you kind of got the same guys here. Like Bowman's cheap at $12, so you could look to him as a point guard value play. But I have a feeling at point guard on Yahoo, I'm really going to be trying to either pay up for Lillard or go to Morant in the mid-range or just drop down to NAW at $12. Or not NAW, Kai Bowman at $12. Let's go ahead and talk about some shooting guards now. So just running through this position, looking at guys we haven't talked about yet. Bogdan Bogdanovic at 7,100 on DraftKings. I'm not the biggest fan of. He's still a little bit too cheap, though, on Yahoo at just $22. The guy's been playing really well lately with De'Aaron Fox out. He's been coming off the bench and producing 31 minutes, at least 31 minutes in 3 straight games, 52, 32, 36 DraftKings points. I like the matchup for him against the Suns. I'd have to project him for probably about 30, 31 minutes in this game and probably about mid-30s in fantasy points. So at $22 at the shooting guard position on Yahoo, I do like him quite a bit. If you're not going to pay up for like Booker or Lillard, he's for sure the next best option at 22. And then you got some values that we'll talk about in JJ Redick and Alexander Walker, both at $12. So Bogdan's in play in that mid-range. JJ Redick is someone I want to talk about. He has really benefited lately with the Pelicans being so thin. No Brandon Ingram, no Josh Hart, no Lonzo Ball. That's going to open up a lot of usage, a lot of shot attempts for other guys. And we've seen Redick really thrive just the last 3 games with those guys out. 16, 13, 16 field goal attempts, 31, 27, 36 DraftKings points. You could argue that JJ Redick is still a little bit too cheap on DraftKings at 5,100. He has shooting guard and small forward eligibility, which makes him very appealing just with the roster construction flexibility you get with rostering him. So I like Redick a lot as a value play today. I think he's going to benefit even if those guys play. Like if Ball's in, if Ingram's in, you could still get a pretty decent game from JJ Redick. I would imagine that he continues to start even if those guys play. Like you'll probably see Lonzo start at point, then Drew start at the 2. You'll see Redick start at the 3, Ingram at the 4, and then Jackson Hayes at the 5. So I like Redick as a value on both sides, $12 over on Yahoo. Now, Alexander Walker is also a really good value, and he's very similarly priced. It would make a lot of sense for me if Ball and Ingram are both out to just play both guys together, play Redick and Alexander Walker in the same lineup. I feel a little bit safer with Redick because I can project him for more minutes, but obviously Alexander Walker is a good value play as well. But I think that's it for shooting guard. Going to Yahoo and looking at shooting guard here. Like I said, if I'm not paying up for Drew Holiday at 36, I'm probably going to either Bogdan at 22 or I'm just playing Redick, Alexander Walker at $12. Probably the best way to go at shooting guard on Yahoo is just go to the value plays from the Pelicans. So let's go ahead and talk about some small forwards now. Running through this position real quickly. If Brandon Ingram is able to play today, I do have quite a bit of interest in him at 7,200, especially if he's not going to be limited. I know like in the last slate or a couple slates ago, he was questionable to play. There was a chance he was going to play. He was dirt cheap at 6,900. He did not wind up playing that slate. If he plays today, 7,200 for Brandon Ingram is just too cheap. The guy should be an 8K player when he's healthy. That's what he was priced before he got hurt. He was 8K on the slate November 9th before he got hurt. Now he's down to 7,200. Definitely have interest in Brandon Ingram today if he's able to play and if he's not limited. But if I'm not going to him, small forward's not that great unless you're paying up for LeBron, which is probably what I'll be doing here. That's one of the reasons I put him at small forward, because the small forward position just isn't that great. And I just try and get LeBron in if possible. You can play JJ Redick at small forward, which makes him very interesting. Etuan Moore's really benefited from all the injuries for the Pelicans. He's been playing pretty big minutes recently. Never a guy that's going to project very well, and never like an optimal play because he just doesn't have that high of a floor. But the minutes are going to be there from him if those guys remain out. So I could see using him as a value, but there's probably better value available on this slate. We won't really need to go there. I know KCP did really well off the bench a few games ago. I mean, 22 DK points off the bench against the Kings, I believe, 25 minutes. Or he might have actually started. He did, yeah, I think he started this game against the Hawks. He continues to start with Avery Bradley out. 3,900 for KCP, not the worst value play. I'd probably project him for about 20 DraftKings points in probably 25 minutes. So, I mean, he's not the worst value, but we'll probably be able to find better value on this slate. So, let's go ahead and run through some power forwards now. Quickly, just going to small forward on Yahoo. I'm just going to be trying to jam in LeBron at this position. I mean, it's really gross if you're not paying up for LeBron. You either have to go to like Kelly Oubre at 22, Kendrick Williams at 20, and then, I mean, Etwan Moore, Mikal Bridges, Glenn Robinson. I just don't want to play these guys. So, I mean, I guess just jam in LeBron if you can at small forward. There should be plenty of value on Yahoo. There's so many cheap guys on Yahoo. Like, if I was playing 10 lineups on Yahoo, I'd probably just play LeBron in every single one, honestly. Let's go ahead and talk about some power forwards now. So, Anthony Davis, 9,800. Like I said earlier in the video, I mean, I don't have much interest in him. He just doesn't seem very healthy right now. He's not doing much offensively. One thing to note, I mean, last game against the Hawks, he had 1 rebound in that game, which was just, I don't think we'll ever see Anthony Davis play almost 30 minutes and only have 1 rebound. So, obviously, I mean, you don't expect him to have 1 rebound in this game against OKC. But I can't project him for like 55, 60 DraftKings points. I'd have to project him for probably 30 minutes and 45 DK points. At 9,800, he's just not a guy I want to jam in on the slate. I would much rather play Lillard for cheaper. I would try and get up to LeBron if possible. Don't really see myself going to AD, especially not on Yahoo because he's $50. LeBron's $51. Just give me LeBron for $1 more over on Yahoo. So power forward on DraftKings is pretty gross today. I mean, there's not much that I see that really catches my eye. Like in this mid-range, I mean, I guess you go to someone like maybe Brandon Clark. I mean, this is just a really gross position. I know Nicole and Melly's been getting a pretty solid run off the bench with how thin the Pelicans front court is right now. We saw him play 28 and 27 minutes the last 2 games. We already know Derek Favors is going to be out and Jahlil Okafor is doubtful. So he should probably continue to play close to 30 minutes for 4,400. He would probably be the play that I would go to at power forward, honestly. He's the guy that really stands out to me at this position. I did mention like Brandon Ingram I would like to pay up for if possible. Definitely could see using him, but if I can't get up to Ingram, I'm totally fine using Nicole and Melly at 4,400 as a value. Probably the same thing goes on Yahoo as well. If we look at power forward on Yahoo, if you're not paying up for AD, you got Ingram at 39, who I do like if he's able to play today. Draymond Green is power forward on Yahoo. He's $27. I could see using him as a value play. I'm pretty sure Nicole Melly is center on Yahoo, which definitely sucks, but nope, Nicole Melly is power forward on Yahoo, and he's minimum salary, so I really like that play. If you want to go to him as a value play, he would definitely stand out. Minimum salary if you can't pay up at this position. Melly makes a lot of sense. But let's go ahead and talk about some centers real quick before we end the video. This is definitely a position I got a couple of guys I want to hit on, especially for cheap plays. Just starting off at the top, though, I mean, I've already talked about AD. You got Jovel at 6,800, who I would really like in this matchup against the Warriors, but his minutes just have not been what I would like to see. I know it was a blowout against Denver, but he only played 22 minutes in that game. Against the Jazz, he did play 30 minutes, which is pretty good to see, I guess. 6,800 for Jovel, though. You need him to get close to 40, if not over 40 DraftKings points to even be a good play at this salary. And I just can't project him for that, so he's not going to be an optimal play. He'd be one of those guys I would throw in as like a low-owned tournament play that I would just get exposure to because he has so much upside. If we do go over to Yahoo, I think Jovel's a lot more appealing over here. Hassan Whiteside is actually the most expensive center on Yahoo at $28. And then you have Jovel at 22. So I would have a lot of interest in Jovel at only 22. I think that's where he's a lot more appealing. You got Whiteside at 6,300, who I like quite a bit at that price tag. Great matchup for him against this Pelicans team. Just not the best defensive team. Jackson Hayes should really struggle with Whiteside. Whiteside should be able to dominate Jackson Hayes. 6,300 for him. He really stands out, and I like him a lot on DraftKings at that price tag. I'm going to include him in the DraftKings core just because I like him so much. On Yahoo, you can definitely pay up for Whiteside as well at $28. We do have a couple guys I want to talk about for cheap, like you got Baines at 17. Jackson Hayes is probably going to be a lock for me on Yahoo at only $11. So the only reason I'm not going to include Whiteside on Yahoo is because of some of these cheap guys we have. On DraftKings, though, I think you can definitely play Whiteside at 6,300, and he would be one of my favorite center plays to get to if possible I would much rather have him over like Holmes, Jackson, Valanciunas. Whiteside would be my preferred option there. But I do want to talk about a couple of value plays. So we got Aaron Baines and Jackson Hayes both at 4,900. Aaron Baines has been someone I've been on quite a bit recently. His price is just too cheap in my opinion for the upside he has, especially for a matchup against the Kings. The Kings have never really been that good of a defensive team, especially against bigs. Rashawn Holmes is not really that good of a defender. Baines is probably going to play 30 minutes most nights in competitive games. As I'm recording this video on Monday night, I believe at halftime he has like 15 DraftKings points. He's played like 10 minutes at halftime against the Celtics in that revenge game on Monday night. I did have a lot of interest in him on Yahoo, and I did play him in a couple of my Yahoo lineups. On DraftKings at 4,900, he still feels a little bit too cheap. You can definitely play him on Yahoo as well at $17. Also feels a little bit too cheap over there. But the only reason I'm not going to include him in the core is because I do prefer Jackson Hayes at the same salary. So Jackson Hayes has really benefited from the injuries in the front court for the Pelicans. The last two games, he's played 24 and 32 minutes. In that game against the Warriors, he did start that game with Derek Favors and Jahlil Okafor both out. And we do already know that Okafor is doubtful and Derek Favors is going to be out again. So I do expect Jackson Hayes to start again. In that game, he played 32 minutes, had a double-double, 31 DraftKings points, also had 3 blocks as well. I'd have to project him for probably 32 minutes, and probably close to 30 DraftKings points. And at 4,900 on DraftKings and his really cheap price of $11 on Yahoo, he's going to be a lock and load value play for me at the center position. You could argue that there's like ways he fails here, like getting in foul trouble and whatnot. But I still think if he can stay out of foul trouble against Whiteside, and if he's on the floor for 30 minutes, should easily be able to pay off both of those price tags. So I do like Jackson Hayes quite a bit on Yahoo at 11 and on DraftKings at 4,900. But to fill out the Yahoo core, there's a couple of ways I was looking to do this. You could either go with Whiteside at 28 or Baines at 17. Because I like Baines so much and I think his price tag is so cheap on Yahoo, I am going to put him in the Yahoo core, but you have plenty of salary. If you wanted to upgrade to Whiteside, you could. But I just really like Baines at that Yahoo salary. I think he's going to be a guy that gives you 30-plus fantasy points most nights. Is probably going to play about 30 minutes most nights. And he's the guy that I want to go to at the center position. But like I said, if you want to upgrade to Whiteside and play him at $28, you could for sure do that as well. But that's it for the Yahoo and DraftKings core for today, guys. That's it for the breakdown. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. As always, greatly appreciate you watching. Make sure you drop a like before you get out of here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at DFS by Noah. Very active over on Twitter. Feel free to give me a follow over there. You can DM me and contact me if you need to. Also want to thank you guys again for 17,000 subscribers. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for supporting my channel and supporting the content that I put out for so long. Really means a lot, guys. But anyways, good luck tonight. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.